Tonight on The Edge, another case of road rage ends in gun violence. Tonight, police shut down eastbound I-96 at Middlebelt after 2 shots were fired at a vehicle. We're told no one was hurt. Police are looking for that shooter. The freeway has reopened. Also tonight, an unnecessary cruelty. A family's beloved Cocker Spaniel is dead, and police say the dog was shot by a neighbor.
And Taryn, I'm told the dog simply wandered near the neighbor's property, and the weapon was fired from inside the house.
I just heard a really loud pop, and then I heard like screaming from a dog, like not even yelping, like it was screaming.
Watching from her window earlier this month, silence, a gunshot, and an 11-year-old Cocker Spaniel shot in the eye.
I like jumped up right away and I saw the dog like not limping, but like struggling to walk.
The shot came from Adriana Pullum's neighbor's porch, Andre Maurice Jones.
He was in his house the whole time. He didn't even step foot outside. He opened his door, shot the dog, and closed his door.
Jones would later tell Clinton Township police it was self-defense, but investigators say the Cocker Spaniel named Buddy was just close to his property line, and everyone in the neighborhood knew the dog was harmless.
A really sweet dog, like the kids that live next door love him, like he's really playful. Buddy
belonged to another neighbor who did not go on camera. Animal control rushed him to the emergency vet.
The owner said it just, even if they could save it, there would be no quality of life. It was shot in the eye and went out the mouth. So they took the dog home and they buried it in their backyard.
Meanwhile, police surrounded Jones' home, his wife and 3 kids inside too. He surrendered to police after about 20 minutes. The charges are racked up against him: killing an animal, 3rd degree, felony gun charges, and misdemeanors for property damage. Given a $20,000 bond, 10%.
It's very disconcerting, especially since he's out on bond now.
Jones is court ordered to have no contact with Buddy's owner and can't have a firearm. But Adriana is still worried about her own pets.
It even makes me nervous, them sitting in the windows. I'm like, what if something happens and he decides to shoot in the window?
So we did check Jones' priors. He has them in other states. More than a decade old, but he was charged for aggravated burglary, has several DUIs, and was actually a fugitive in Georgia at one point. So quite a lengthy criminal history here.
But it's awful. From inside your house, there's no threat. I mean,
and you look at the picture, it's a 11-year-old Cocker Spaniel. Not much of a threat.
Oh, it's a shame. All right. Well, also tonight, an avoidable accident, rather. A Detroit toddler is in the hospital after getting his hands on an unsecured weapon in his home.
He was shot in the face. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin has more on how the shooting unfolded.
Another round of tragedy, another round of police lights, and another round of community outrage.
And for this to happen, it was devastating.
A 3-year-old boy shot himself in the face on Detroit's east side after police say his mother came home and set a gun down on the dresser for a second to do something. That's all it took for the boy to grab it and fire, striking himself in the head. Cops taking action as soon as they got to the scene on St. Patrick's Street around the corner from City Airport.
They arrive here, they see that the child is injured, they convey the child to an area hospital.
Investigators say the child is expected to survive what turned out to be a graze wound, but neighbors say they're still angry.
Even though sometimes and a lot of times it's accidents, but accidents could be wiped out just by putting the gun up. Or how about don't buy one?
Wow, I hear so much of that, it's sickening, because always being on the news, if you need a gun lock for your gun, the police give them to you free.
Police say there is a gun lockbox in the house. They will be looking at that and other factors, especially given state laws that took effect this past February requiring the secure storage of firearms.
And we've charged on that new law, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to be looking at charges in this situation as well, because again, we've got to give these kids a chance. Unfortunately, we've been here way too many times. I mean, if you're going to own a gun, you got to do so responsibly. We're going to look at all aspects of if she's licensed, should she have the gun, is the gun registered, is the gun legally hers. murders, stolen, all of those things. But most importantly, you know, you got to keep these guns away from kids, and you got to keep them in safe places.
We did ask neighbors what they knew about the mother. They say they only see her coming and going from work and things like that at different times. Police stress yet again that most guns that are purchased in recent years do come with gun locks. And by the way, we did a tally of this. How many times children have been shot by guns that they were able to find because these guns were unsecured? It's happened at least 8 times across Metro Detroit this year. At Detroit Police Headquarters, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
The suspected gunman in this week's mass shooting at a Georgia high school makes his first court appearance.
As did his father, who is charged with involuntary manslaughter for letting his son possess a weapon.
The parents, particularly his father, that provided him with the weapon, and that's going to be what the prosecution needs to prove these types of charges.
The weapon used in Wednesday's shooting was a semi-automatic assault rifle. The suspected shooter, 14-year-old Colt Gray, has been charged as an adult with a number of felonies. 4 people were killed, 2 14-year-old students and 2 teachers. 9 others were hurt.
You don't have to have been physically injured in this to be a victim. Everyone in this community is a victim. Every child in that school was a victim.
Both the father and son were questioned by the FBI last year after reports the teen allegedly made threats to shoot up a middle school. The teen and his father will stay behind bars until their next court appearance, which is in December. It only took 1 day for prosecutors to charge the father of the suspected high school shooter.
When Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald charged James and Jennifer Crumbly in connection to their son's deadly rampage at Oxford High School, she wanted to set a precedent for negligent parents. Now it looks like that precedent has been set.
My sincere hope was that we wouldn't see anything like this again. It's not lost on me that, you know, there was not a wave of support or acceptance of the charges when they were announced. But I knew, looking at all the evidence that we had that is not released to the public, I knew that you don't get to walk away from that sort of egregious behavior when it was reasonably foreseeable that your kid was going to hurt himself or somebody else.
McDonald tells us the ultimate goal was to prevent these types of shootings from ever happening in the first place. President Biden making a stop in Ann Arbor this afternoon.
And Mr. Biden talking jobs with union workers and expressing his support of the UAW.
Walk the picket line with UAW workers here in Michigan. Kamala walked it as well. But Trump would much rather cross a picket line than walk one.
Speaking at UAW Local 190, Mr. Biden also signed the Create Jobs executive order aimed at boosting labor standards in the U.S. It will establish a task force with the goal of ensuring more benefits for workers.
Kamala and I are setting a policy across the board in the support of good job standards. And from this point onwards, any president who disagrees with that is going to have to say so out loud, say it to your face, and repeal that order, and I want to see them try to do it.
Now, this was the president's first visit to Michigan since announcing he would not run for re-election this fall.
A legal win for former President Donald Trump. Today, a Manhattan judge agreed to postpone his sentencing in the hush money case until after the November election. The judge will also consider a request to overturn the verdict on grounds of presidential immunity. Trump's defense team has pushed for the delay, arguing sentencing during the final months of his presidential campaign would amount to election interference.
A win for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in his effort to get off the ballot. The Michigan Court of Appeals has ruled Kennedy should be removed from the ballot, reversing a lower court's decision. RFK suspended his presidential bid last month and endorsed Donald Trump. His name will also be removed from the ballot in North Carolina, potentially improving Trump's chances of winning the swing states.
All right, turning now to weather. It's still summer, but clearly felt like fall today.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow, but hopefully maybe not for long. Meteorologist Stephanie Mead is joining us with our forecast.
Yes, and we do have more summer-like weather out ahead of us. We'll show you when, but right now it's feeling a little bit more like fall here throughout southeast Michigan. 60 Detroit, 57 Ann Arbor. You notice maybe a few lighter showers from Pontiac extending into Ann Arbor. Our current radar showing a few light returns right now, nothing heavy, but if you are out and about, you might run into a few stray sprinkles from Ann Arbor, just south of Rochester Hills, pretty close to what looks like Bloomfield Hills, rather, and that's going to continue to track to the south and southeast. This is all associated with an area of low pressure. Circulation is bringing in additional moisture as we head into tonight. Maybe a few showers up near the thumb overnight with an additional sprinkle early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, I think as a whole, we do see a lot of cloud cover through the day on Saturday with mainly dry conditions through the afternoon. Low 50s for a low tonight. Otherwise, heading through the day tomorrow, we should see our temperatures warm, low 60s. It is going to be a chilly one for sure. Temps near 70 degrees on Sunday. And by Monday, we should be in the upper 70s. So pretty close to our seasonal high, if not at where we should be for this time of year. So more of a seasonal date to start the work week. We have the Michigan versus Texas game tomorrow. Should be a mostly cloudy sky. Temps will be in the upper 50s. Expect to see a mostly cloudy sky through the afternoon and evening as well. Low 60s for the Lions game on Sunday. Kickoff is a little late at 8:20. We'll see a partly cloudy sky. Little chilly though too. Precip chances after tomorrow morning should be on the low side. We're not necessarily tracking any moisture well into next week. That's also going to be a very warm week for us as well. We see above average temperatures looking towards the next 7 days or so. And you'll notice that here in the extended forecast. Temps return to the middle 80s. So more of a summer-like feel heading into next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll see that warming trend, and then we'll see a mostly sunny sky as we head through the end of your work week next week.
Hidden behind a pretty umbrella and what's being called an old person mask, a man successfully robs a bank in West Bloomfield.
The heist took place at the Fifth Third Bank on Haggerty just after 10:30 this morning. He allegedly had a gun and took off with lots of cash. The suspect had gray hair and was wearing a gray hoodie and blue latex gloves. Anyone with information is asked to call West Bloomfield Police.